incentives to actually alter workplace culture, which is probably the most important thing in this debate, just based on the fact that this is regarding how many victims are created in the first place. Okay, but just addressing directly what we hear from OO, I think largely their case stands that like, oh, because it's cheaper for companies and it comes at less of a cost to their reputation to conduct internal mediations, that like this is going to be like they're going to be more likely to believe women. I think while this analysis is true that it is lower cost for them, doesn't really take into account that the change in incentives that OO claim, i.e. that this will like change the amount of women that are believed in, is kind of ignoring the analysis that Jason provides about why the burden of proof for sexual misconduct is largely symmetric on both sides. This is for two main reasons. Firstly, insurance companies wish to minimize payouts, and the assertion we get in a POI that payout is like somehow automatic is ludicrous because it would make insurance companies incredibly unprofitable. It is incredibly likely that insurance companies will like establish mechanisms to assess the validity of the claim that's being made, just because this is how they conduct every other aspect of their business. If you want to claim medical insurance, you have to like prove that you were actually at the hospital. If I want to like claim my dental insurance, I can't just do so on good faith. I have to like send them the receipts that I was like at a dentist. Again, this analysis ignores completely the profit incentives of insurance companies. But I also think that the claim about this like changing the incentives to make your workplace culture better so that you look better in like calculations, we already got like a response to this from CG about how most insurance is bundled anyway, so they're probably not going to assess this particular aspect. But it also kind of goes off the idea that this will make workplaces meaningfully change their workplace culture instead of just performatively changing it and making sure that any women that are likely to like speak out against it are just silenced. I don't think many women are going to like grass on their boss for that by saying that their workplace is incredibly patriarchal at the point at which like they're likely to be penalized for this. I just don't think this is likely. And then the second reason why this is like unlikely to work is that misogynistic workplace cultures still exist on our side. On their side, I think women who want to like claim sexual misconduct happened are still likely to be minimized or ignored internally, even if there isn't like a direct profit incentive tied to it, just because of the fact that these workplaces are misogynistic in the first place, and also the fact that most people don't want to believe that their co-worker that they get along with is a sexual abuser. I think at the point at which all of this analysis is true, I don't think OO really have a comparative benefit at all. Okay, how then does workplace culture change or have the capacity to change on our side? I think there is no longer a material cost to the business when sexual misconduct occurs. Why is this? Because the payout is made by insurance companies instead of directly by employers, which means preventative measures against sexual misconduct do not need to exist to the same capacity to protect the bottom line of the business. They do have no direct material threat. So there's like nothing stopping them from just allowing it to happen. I think then the second mechanism we bring you is the mechanism of public relations, which is kind of like already going with OO's analysis, because insurance companies can deal with these accusations in a lower profile manner relative to the undertaking of a court case lawsuit, which OO agree with. There is a greater incentive to take steps to avoid this happening when the reputation of a company is at stake. And because public outcry can lead to boycotts or like media attention and like outcry, it hurts the profitability of the company, and it hurts their immediate ability to earn money because like they have to pay out money. So for all of these reasons, the incentive to like prevent sexual assault happening is much greater on our side when there's more of a material threat. But now that we've established this incentive, what will this change in workplace culture likely look like? I think firstly, it probably looks like a greater level of top-down investment in preventative measures. I think this probably firstly looks like an attempt to directly counter a culture of exploitation or chauvinism. This looks like workshops and training programs that clearly outline acceptable or unacceptable behavior. Why is this probably effective? Because usually sexual misconduct is firstly subtle transgressions of boundaries that escalate slowly over time. So at the point at which you have a greater push to publish like a specific code of workplace conduct and then enforce that conduct and make everyone extremely aware of that conduct to prevent this slow escalation happening, you're able to prevent like a snowball into a prosecutable offense, which is the main threat that you're facing. I think this also probably secondarily looks like a greater hampering ability of managerial figures to abuse their positions of power. But before I move on, I'll take closing. If they have a POI. Opening.
Yeah, but I think what is the difference between medical insurance and this kind of insurance is when I apply for a medical insurance payout, I have no reason not to, right? I want as much money as possible. A company a priori has the incentive to not be asking for insurance claims because that means they've conceded to sexual misconduct having occurred. It's not the same thing.
There, I don't understand what the penalty to like applying for an insurance payout is to a company, really. All that they already have like people in HR that are paid to like fill out insurance claims. I don't think it's a huge like I don't think I fail to see like why companies are hesitant to fill out these claims. I don't really understand like where you're going with this. Okay, I think why is this? So I think you hamper the ability of positions of power to abuse their position of power. How does this probably manifest? It probably looks like managers and business people who are authorities that are specifically selected for their capacity to extract profit at the point at which this misconduct places the purpose of their appointment in a position of power at odds with these material interests of the company. Companies are incentivized to engage in heavy crackdowns on these like malevolent actors who are probably engaging in most of this kind of abusive behavior because they're enabled to by their position of power. I think what this firstly probably looks like is increased accountability against these types of people, simply just like firing or demoting managerial figures at the point at which they engage in low-level misconduct that the business structure believes may escalate in the future and lead to a prosecutable offense. I think this looks like a prevention of escalation at the beginning stages before it has time to like get going. I think crucially then this also looks like imposing a systematic precedent of zero tolerance policies for low-level misconduct because there's a fear of it escalating in the future and leading to like material losses for the company. I think we're able to do two things here. We're able to change workplace culture to a sufficient degree, and we're able to improve more accountability mechanisms for people in positions of power. I think largely the incentive for like victims to come forward is the same. The burden of proof is probably the same on both sides. I think what we change is ability to change workplace culture and the incentives for this. For all of these reasons, proud to propose.